Welcome to the CVC Spotlight, where we highlight the top individual and team performances from around the Chagrin Valley Conference. I'm Steve Hare, the CVC Sports Information Director, and this episode of CVC Spotlight is brought to you by Michael Dolezal and Company, CPAs and Business Advisors. Visit cpaneeds.com for more information on how Dolezal and Company can help you in your business. This week, we're going to shine the spotlight on some of the top cross-country runners in the league, and to kick off that segment, we're going to hear from Ben Hersick of the Lake County News-Herald, who covered the CVC championships out at Cardinal High School on Saturday. Ben, thanks for joining the show. There were some great performances at the CVC championships on Saturday. What were some of the highlights for you?
One of the biggest ones, definitely Gabby Beyer of Chagrin Falls going even lower this year. She came in with a PR of 18:41, left with an 18:37 to win her division and be the first one across the line. As a freshman, she's just turning every single head imaginable.
There were a lot of PRs at Cardinal. Every time I talk to runners after a meet there, whether it's their Cardinal Invitational, a dual meet, or even, the CVC championships, anything like that, is the course is pretty flat, not many hills. So it does lend itself to some pretty fast times. The weather has been pretty good, so the course wasn't all that wet. How much does that impact a race when you've got a lot of kids that can run, their PRs?
I think it helps in a way too, because a lot of the schools are also in like that Division 2 to 3 range, and most of them do go to Madison, which is a very similar course, very flat, not a ton of hills, a very long start. But when it's, especially at the point of the year we're at now, just calendar-wise, you start to have that morning dew that likes to stick around for a little bit, especially with the rain they're projecting for a couple of days here. So for CVCs to have that pretty dry conditions and not have to worry too much about waterlogged courses, puddles, and a lot of stuff that cross-country runners don't like to have to deal with, just to be able to go out there and race their race, it makes things a lot easier and a lot simpler for them to be able to go out and execute.
On the boys' side, we had Tommy Mooney from Chagrin Falls. He won the Chagrin division. Carter Schobert, he won the Lake division. Also was the top overall finisher. And then Roman Ramsdell from Fairview won the Valley division. Were there any runners in there that kind of surprised you with how they finished, whether it was, a top 10 finish or even a bottom 10? Just anyone that went out and kind of stepped it up here to kick off the postseason?
There were two that kind of caught my attention. Obviously, Tommy Mooney was the first for Chagrin Falls. Him and Carter have battled to a couple of close finishes this year already, and there should be another one next week out at Madison. But Keelan Beyer of Chagrin Falls going 16 flat for third, or for second in his division, third overall, and to help Chagrin to the title in their division was a big step. But also a kid that's kind of caught my eye all year. A lot of attention for Cardinal goes to Sam Godovichin, but Tor Eastlake, I believe this is his first year as a cross-country runner, 18-12 to finish 10th in the Valley is very impressive for a first-year guy.
Absolutely, and he's had a pretty good career thus far and plenty of races left in his future. Just turning the page to the girls, obviously you mentioned Gabby winning the Chagrin division. Holly Viss from Perry won the Lake division. And then Izzy Copeland from Kirtland won the Valley division. And that's who I really want to talk about is Kirtland. They won their 5th straight CVC title. I believe they had 4 of the top 5 or top 6 runners. So they're obviously putting it together at the right time, heading into the district meet. But how impressed were you with just how Kirtland ran that race and had so many bunched runners together?
Very impressive. And the scary thing to think about with Kirtland, their returning state qualifier, Ainsley Borthwick, was 4th on that list. She wasn't even the one that took home the conference championship, but that's just how dangerous and deep they are. Izzy's had a really strong year. 1938 isn't her best time, but still a really solid time for her. And to see them all putting it together at the right time and peaking is really important because they think they're in play for not just a regional team advancement, but a state team advancement. And I think they have the pieces to do it, especially with now them running with that confidence, because a lot of cross country is carrying momentum from race to race. If you have a bad race one week, you kind of see it carry over through practice and into the next meet. So And if you have those bad races, you have to clear your head and get back to the running you know you can do. But they have the momentum. Everybody is running really well right now. And I think them carrying it from a fifth straight CVC title to districts to regionals and possibly state is a very possible path for them.
And then I was a little bit caught off guard with Orange winning the Chagrin division title. I know they're out of your coverage area, but was that a surprise to you as well, just to see them come out on top?
It was a little bit. I know their boys program has been really good these past couple of years. Obviously, when you have a runner like Gent, you're going to see those types of performances. Obviously, he sat out for CVCs, but they have it seems like almost a trickle-down effect can happen from program to program. Kirtland's another pretty good example. When the girls program has been so successful, the boys have had some decent runners here and there, but now you're starting to see the fruits of the labor pay off over on the boys' side for Kirtland, kind of like just to use as an analogy for the Orange boys translating to the girls' success. Kirtland boys had 4 guys turn PRs. Joey C is how I usually pronounce his name.
Exactly. Ciavarelli,
he posted a 17:32 for a PR for him by almost 40 seconds. So it's similar in an Orange situation where one side of the program is having success, and now you're seeing it start to trickle into the other side, seeing, hey, they're doing it like this. What if we try and mimic it and see how that works for us? And it's working really well out there for Orange.
Outstanding. All right, Ben. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to talk a little cross country with us. Might have you on for volleyball in a upcoming episode as the postseason gets underway today. So I'm sure we'll be talking to you a little bit more in the future. But thanks again for taking some time out of your day, and it was great to see you on Saturday.
Thank you very much, bud. Appreciate it. And as long as I'm not talking about the state poll, I'll have a lot of great things to say about volleyball.
All right. Thanks, Ben.
Anytime, bud.
This episode of CVC Spotlight was presented by Michael Dolezal and Company, CPAs and Business Advisors. Call 216-485-2028 or visit cpaneeds.com to learn more about what Dolezal and Company can do for you.
Welcome back to the CVC Spotlight presented by Michael Dolezal Company, CPAs and Business Advisors. Next, let's check in with Jefferson's Carter Showbird, who won the Light Division title with a time of 15:52, which was the fastest time turned in by any male runner on Saturday. Carter, congratulations on your season PR and on winning the overall title. How exciting was it to kick off the postseason with such a great race?
It felt good, considering coming off of kind of a stump week at All County. It was kind of a rough race, so it was really a confidence booster, and it really kind of opened my eyes to see what's going to happen in the postseason towards state.
Coming in, you were the third fastest time, at least from the season PRs from all the runners this year. Did that kind of inspire you just to know that you were kind of a little bit of an underdog with a couple guys that had faster times than you this season?
Yeah, I came into that race knowing that there were guys that were definitely going to be there to compete for first, and I was just going to give it everything I had to try to be up there with them.
Cardinals over the years been a pretty, good course for people to run fast times, just being flat, not too many hills, that kind of thing. What did you like about that course?
I really enjoy it. I think the woods is a good place to gain some ground where nobody can see you. The crowd's not near and it's not overwhelming, so you can kind of do your own thing back there and move your way up once you hit the last mile.
You almost went wire to wire in the lead. Yeah, I think you took the lead pretty early. What helped you get out to a strong start and then helped you finish the way you did?
I think going out with I know a lot of people and how they race. From that race, I raced a lot of those teams like Edgewood and Madison, and most of their guys were up there. So going out with them and starting out trying to chase down Tommy Mooney in the first mile, letting him lead was definitely a part of the strategy.
You said you know a lot of the other runners. How much does that help you in strategizing for a big race?
That helps me to know when to pick them off and when not to, because there's some racers that I realize that start out really, really fast, and then they race the second mile really slow. And there's some people that come out in the second mile, so it really helps me to know when to make my moves in the first through third mile.
You're heading into the district meet this week. Obviously, you've got a lot of momentum behind you, but what did this do for your confidence, and how are you kind of approaching the district meet?
This really helped me mentally to know that I'm still on track to cut down my time even further. And looking at all the times for districts, this really mentally put me up there, and I'm really confident that our team can do really well. Our team's looking to win the district. That's our team goal, and I want to win individually. So that's
Some big goals there for you. And obviously, I'm pretty sure I know what your goals are over the next couple of weeks, but what are you trying to accomplish through districts, regionals, and hopefully the state meet?
yeah. In the next 3 weeks, I want my time to be like 15:30s, and the team wants to make it to state because we have not had a team go to state since I think 11, and our coach right now has had like one or two teams go to regional. So our team goal is like to be the best team in history for Coach Furman.
Outstanding. All right, Carter. Well, congratulations again on kicking off the postseason with a great race at the CVC Championships, and good luck in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
This episode of CVC Spotlight was presented by Michael Dolezal and Company, CPAs and business advisors. Call 216-485-2028 or visit cpaneeds.com to learn more about what Dolezal and Company can do for you.
Welcome back to the CVC Spotlight, presented by Michael Dolezal Company, CPAs and business advisors. Next, we're going to listen in as Ben Hersick caught up with Chagrin Falls freshman Gabby Byrne after she ran a time of 18:37 to clinch the Chagrin Division title. She also was the fastest girl runner at the event. Here's what she had to say after she completed the race.
Yeah, well, usually I'll stay with other girls until like mile 2. But today I was feeling really good, so I just kind of picked it up before the woods, and then in the woods I made my move, and yeah, felt really good.
And back-to-back weeks in the 18s, 18:38 unofficially. You look at just these past 2 weeks, Legends and CVCs, how do you feel like this is kind of preparing you for that postseason? Because you guys start at Madison, which is another very flat, very fast course.
Yeah, it's just given me like a lot of confidence and motivation because I never thought I'd be able to get into the 18s, but we're cutting a lot of mileage and it's really helping to get faster times. Yeah.
And I mentioned first CVC's first championship, especially with as deep of a field as it is in your division. You have former All-Ohioans, girls that are second or third and top 5 in our area fastest times. Being able to say you're 1 for 1 already in championships, what does that mean to you as a runner?
It's amazing. I never thought I'd come this far, and I'm just so happy.
This episode of CVC Spotlight was presented by Michael Dolezal and Company, CPAs and business advisors. Call 216-485-2028 or visit cpaneeds.com to learn more about what Dolezal and Company can do for you.
Welcome back to the CVC Spotlight, presented by Michael Dolezal Company, CPAs and business advisors. We're going to wrap things up with Cameron's Corner, a roundup of the action witnessed by CVC reporter Cameron Brown. Cameron, thanks for checking in with us. What were some of the highlights of your coverage this week?
Well, we'll take it all the way back to the beginning of the week. I had a very important girls soccer game, winner take all for the conference between Perry and Madison. Madison 4-0 in the conference. Perry was sitting at 3-0-1, so Perry had to win the game to win the conference. Madison was able to come away with the win thanks to a Reese Meister goal in the first half, but Perry was able to tie it in the second half thanks to Kansas commit Jordan Rowan. But as kind of like the spotlight of that game, I have to give credit to Zoe Delagianis. She's known for her basketball and her basketball defense, I should say. But she was a pest all night defensively. I don't really know if you play man defense in soccer, but she was kind of tasked with following Rowan all over the field, and she did a great job. She cleared everything that was that came onto her side. She knocking things out of bounds and just keeping the ball away from Rowan as much as she could. Jordan was able to get one off of a free kick that kind of just ended up in an area where she could sneak it through, and she did. It was really a really nice display of just absolute talent, and maybe a little bit of luck helped her make it. But, I got to give credit to Madison. They knew what they had to do. You could at worst tie the game and still win the conference. Their second consecutive conference title in the Lake Division, and they've got probably one of the best teams in the CVC across all 4 divisions. I think a bright future as far as like the postseason is concerned, and even beyond that, looking towards next year, I think they have a chance to make a really good run and make some noise in the postseason, especially with the division expansion throughout, I believe, all sports that the OHSAA did this past summer.
You've had the opportunity to see a lot of those league championship type of games and matches. Kirtland Berkshire volleyball is another one. The Badgers, I believe, swept the season series.
No, they split.
Oh, they did split. Okay. What do you think their
Yes.
fortunes are going to be in the postseason? Berkshire's playing really well right now. What have you seen out of them that you've liked?
Well, I see a lot of versatility. They have 2 setters, and one of their setters, Marissa Risch, who surpassed 1,000 career assists as a junior in the second game against Kirtland. She can also play as like a hitter. She can take some swings, and she can impact the game in a lot of different ways. Their other setter, Ava Chua, those 2 work really well together. I asked Marissa about it after they beat Madison very early on in the year. It's like their 6th game, I think, that they played. They beat Madison 3-1, and I think it was a sweep. I asked Marissa about it, and she just said that they work together and they know who they can get it to. And some of the girls that they can get it to is Kirsten Schaefer. She had a great night against Kirtland. 21 kills, 8 blocks. A really standout performance from her. Kind of maybe the lead hitter, filling in for Maddie Smetana and Haley Stoddard, who Berkshire lost to graduation from last year's team. But then some of the other girls that are fitting in there, Kate Miller, maybe not her best night offensively because she can put it down and she can do a lot of really great things in the attack. And then Jill Smetana as well. She fits into that role as Kirsten. Just get them the ball, let them do what they do, and I think Berkshire can make a run as well. Again, with the expansion of the divisions, really opens up with some of these CVC teams who are kind of in the lower echelon, I guess we'll say, of division rankings. The 4 through 7 is kind of where most CVC teams fall. So I think with that expansion, it really opens up the opportunity for some great postseason runs by some teams that maybe haven't had the opportunities in years past. I think Berkshire kind of fits that mold. No postseason game's ever easy, but they've got the team to do it. They've got a lot of I like to use the word versatility in volleyball. I see it a lot. A lot of different teams. I saw it last year. I've seen it a little bit this year. The versatility of like having 2 setters who can set the ball to really 5 different girls who can go and get it done. Hannah Hutchinson comes in off the bench, is good defensively at the net. Also can rack up 6, 7, 8 kills. I think she had around 6 or 7 in both Kirtland games individually. So she kind of like that sneaky, at least in those individual games, the sneaky like 3rd or 4th scorer for them points wise that kind of led to the success that they did have, albeit losing to Kirtland the first time in 5, but really helping pick up the big 4-set win and the second time around to all kind of lock up the conference. There were still some games to go, but they officially clinched it, I believe, this week with a win over Beechwood.
That they did. And then on Friday, you were out in Independence for a Metro Division football game that's going to have a lot to say in who wins that conference title. You had Wycliffe came out on top. Wycliffe's got a big game coming up with Trinity in a couple weeks. But what did you see on Friday night that leads you to believe that Wycliffe could catch that conference title?
Well, I always joke about how the CVC teams like to run the wing tee. Wycliffe fits that mold, and my oh my, did they do it effectively. Logan Ruskin had 8 carries for 215 yards and 4 touchdowns. That number is kind of inflated, maybe in a way, with runs of 82 yards for a touchdown, a 42-yard run that then set up his 7-yard rushing touchdown, and a 58-yard touchdown on what is maybe one of the craziest plays I've ever seen in, we'll call it almost a full year of covering high school sports, specifically football. He's a punter. He takes the snap. He drops it. It goes between his legs. Probably if he gets tackled, loses 30 yards for a turnover on downs. Picked it up, and he just hit, I don't know, probably the biggest crease he's ever seen in his life. Took it for 58 yards for what kind of at that point felt like a knockout blow touchdown before Independence crept their way back into it. Ralph Jackson, Coach Porcello mentioned that he's kind of that tough, gritty downhill runner, short yardage situation, but they also used him in kind of like that 1st and 10 and go let him go get 5-6 yards and, set up second and manageable and things of that nature. And he ripped off some big runs, even in those short yardage situations. 16 carries, 107 yards. And I want to give credit to that defense of Wycliffe. Andrew Darch, I was an offensive defensive lineman in my playing days. I say it like it was that long ago, just 2 years ago. He had a 58-yard pick six, and he was moving like a tight end. I won't say a receiver, but he was moving like a tight end. And he joked with me when I talked to him after the game. He said his wide receiver instincts to go up, catch it, and take it to the house, as he said. And then Nunzio Zivnaska and Jim Wheeler also had interceptions off. One of the better pure passing quarterbacks, I'll call it, and Dominic Narduzzi in the conference, who also he runs very well himself. Tough runner, but if you're gonna give him time in the pocket, he can put up a lot of yards on you. And I've seen it happen a couple of times this year against Kanye way back in week 2. That feels like so long ago now.
It does, doesn't it?
But those are just some of the really big standouts, and even some of like the other Porcello said that they got like 4 or 5 guys who can just 2 of those 5, any of them can have big days like Jackson and Ruskin did. They got the quarterback. Frankie Bukar, great baseball athlete as well. Nunzio Zivnaska fits into that mix. He plays that wide receiver, so it's more of like the jet sweep type things. But they got some guys. That Trinity game. Trinity is looking really good. I know you did a CVC Spotlight with Aiden Duncan earlier on in the year, following their game against Cardinal, where he did literally everything. On the football field that you could possibly do, and that could be a really good game. I'm excited for it. I think the fans are excited for it, and it can mean a lot. Wycliffe does need some help because they do have a conference loss, and Trinity is undefeated in the conference to this point. So, yeah, I mean, you never know how things can shake out, but it should be a fun last week 9 and week 10 of this regular season.
Absolutely. And just a preview next week, we've got the postseason starting in soccer and volleyball. I know you've got a couple of those games, and then a big game out at Geneva on Friday that has some conference title implications. Just give us a quick preview. Where are you headed this week?
Monday, I've got Chagrin Falls, Coventry at Chagrin Falls girls soccer. Playoff matchups, like you said. Tuesday, Conneaut at Edgewood boys soccer, a Lake Division matchup in the postseason. Those are always fun. Obviously, you're familiar with the opponent, so who's got the upper hand. I'll call it 50-50. You're familiar with the opponent. You know what they do well. You know who you have to look out for, and whoever won that regular season matchup might have the edge, but it's anybody's game, especially in soccer. Those things can go either way. One big swing can really change everything. Orange at Chagrin Falls boys soccer on Thursday as well. Chagrin Falls, the boys team is really good, a really great soccer program. Saw them earlier in the year against rival West Geauga, and they put up 3 first-half goals. Game was called to rain, so we didn't get to see, they could have put up 6 or 7, and I'm sure that would have felt good against the rival in the Battle of 306, but soccer style, as I called it. Just some really great matchups, two conference matchups in the postseason that I think are going to have a little bit more intensity and what should be a really nice week weather-wise. So hopefully no more first halves being called to rain. And, Orange could maybe pull off the upset on the road. A conference opponent, again, the familiarity. Same thing with Conneaut. Upsets can happen. It's the postseason, and it's this is why they play the game, and this is why I cover the games. Right? Is you just never know what can happen. And then
what I love about sports.
You can't beat it. There's a lot of big college football upsets, and the NFL. It's just could go on and on. But looking towards Friday, I'm really excited. It was a game I covered last year. It was Geneva at Madison. Geneva was able to come away with a 21-point win. It wasn't all that bad. Madison put up 2 late touchdowns to lose 42-21. So it was a close game earlier on, but Geneva was able to get a couple of quick strike passing touchdowns, believe it or not, and some big runs to salt that one away and pick up the maybe not the conference championship game, but it really increased their odds going into week 10 against Jefferson last year. And then looking towards Madison, it's kind of a different team. Last year they Carson Alley under center, and I talked with Coach Gilligan and Will Randall, their current quarterback, about it, how it's a different type of quarterback play. Will Randall is over 6'2", I think, and he's the what they call it, the pro style quarterback, where you're not gonna run counter or duo with your quarterback running the ball with at least Randall like you would with Carson Alley. You're gonna if you get in second and long, third and long situations, you're gonna be more comfortable letting him drop back, letting him read the defense, and letting him cut up the defense. He's up there in passing yards as far as the Chagrin Valley Conference is concerned. He's up there probably top 7. So he's doing a really good job being that pro-style quarterback that I saw in the scrimmage earlier on in the year against Harvey, saw what he can do. And he's doing a really good job of continuing to do that. But they're still going to get in their tight formations, and they're still going to run downhill with James Poe, and they have some great weapons on the outside. Max Steele, Nolan Albert, I could go on and on, but just the weapons that they have all across that offense. The defense is really good as well. Only letting up, I think it was 6 points to Jefferson last Thursday. A Jefferson team that has really grown from last year's team to this year, and with the things that they can do on the field, still got a lot of growing to do. But I believe in that team and that program and the guys around Coach Hanna. So I want to give credit to them where credit is due. And then Geneva, again, back to the CVC teams who love to run the wing T. They fit right into that, and they've got 5 guys who can run the ball. And honestly, I'm shocked to kind of see that Luke Barbo isn't getting as many carries as maybe I expected as the quarterback this year, first-year quarterback in that Geneva system. It's the Hayden Deemers, the Caden Proys, and the Bryce Peets, of course, who are really getting the load of the carries. But when it comes down to it, and when they need to throw the ball, they do a fairly good job of it with Barbo. A lefty quarterback, something you don't see a whole lot in the CVC, but it's nice to see as a fellow Southpaw myself. He threw a touchdown against Lutheran West way back in week 4 on a wheel route to Hayden Deemer. A big receiver, same thing with Caden Proy. Jump, just give him a chance, and they're probably going to come down with it no matter who's guarding them, no matter the route, no matter the situation. So it could be a really good game. I'm not one for score predictions because those are always wrong. Wrong. But I could see something, maybe a high-scoring game, much like last year's game, but I could also see, maybe it's a slugfest. Maybe Geneva is able to really drain the clock with what they do in the running game. And, maybe Madison really relies on that quick strike offense of having that pro-style quarterback, a big difference from last year's team, like I said. It could be interesting, and I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. This week is going to be crazy. My off day on Thursday is going to be much appreciated because I'm going to need to decompress from what could be a really crazy Monday through Wednesday.
Oh yeah, this is definitely the busy time of the year, but it's also the most exciting time of the year. But Cameron, appreciate you coming in and sharing your insight on the conference. Definitely appreciate your coverage. Looking forward to see what you write up this week for the games that you're covering, and we'll see you next week on CVC Spotlight.
All right, thank you so much.
This episode of CVC Spotlight was presented by Michael Dolezal and Company, CPAs and Business Advisors. Call 216-485-2028 or visit cpaneeds.com to learn more about what Dolezal and Company can do for you.
Welcome back to the CVC Spotlight, presented by Michael Dolezal Company, CPAs and Business Advisors. That's going to do it for us, folks. I want to thank you for tuning in, and a special shout out to all of our guests. We look forward to capturing the action this week, and we'll see you next week on the CVC Spotlight.